welcome to the last session of today, a really exciting day. And I think this session really brings together a lot of stuff that we've already seen, and it matches really well. I'm looking forward to Omolara. Another aspect that we're hitting, a lot of people aren't like tech experts, people who see the tech space from a different angle. And Omolara is a mental health professional and a cognitive behavioral coach. And she's going to be talking about exposing the mental health impact of online harassment in marginalized groups. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll step back and let you tell us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be in this space. Thank you, everyone, for joining from everywhere you're joining in from all over the world today. It's been exciting. I've been able to join a couple of, session, and hopefully I can take a little bit of, time off tomorrow to join more, because this kind of conference is timely, is needed, because due to what is happening when it comes to online harassment, online safety, all over the world. In my table of content, I have a few things to talk about. Exposing the mental health impact on online harassment in marginalized group. Highlighting the importance of addressing online harassment is very important that we talk about this due to a lot of, challenges and issues that people all over the globe faces when it comes to online harassment and abuse. Highlighting the importance of, addressing online harassment. When we address it, our well-being is very important. When we talk about it, it's very important that we're in a good space, good mental health space as online user, as online platform user. It's very vital that we have inclusive environment when it comes to online harassment. It's very vital that we stand up for, abuse. We stand up for what we think that is not necessary, that is not nice when it comes to this topic. Also, when it comes to understanding the impact of marginalized community when it comes to online harassment, systemic, issues, is very important that we as individual, as stakeholders, as parents, as caregivers all over the world, is very important that we understand the impact of, marginalized community when it comes to online harassment. Lack of resources is part of what we also look into. Marginalized communities have little or no access to resources when it comes to, online harassment, when it comes to abuse, when it comes to, division, when it comes to the kind of things that people of this group and community faces when it comes to online abuse. So it's very, very important that as organizations, as platforms, as community, we come together to understand that there are a lot of things that needs to be addressed and needs to be done when it comes to understanding the impact of people that are marginalized. They don't have access to resources. It's very systemic sometimes. Sometimes lack of, access to technology can also be, some of the things that, can affect people that are from marginalized community. Emphasizing digital inclusion as a critical need, that we need to, allow people to have access to technology, access to internet, access to devices, which can also, exhibit online harassment. Digital literacy is also very important. It's very important as a platform, as a community, as organizations, to make sure that we have access, we have information out there to put online, to make sure that people can learn things, people can, be aware of, the repercussion, the impact of, getting involved in, slurs, in languages that are, belittling and all other things. We have some statistics. According to PE Pew Research Center survey, 41% of survey, 41% of Americans have personally experienced some form of online harassment. Marginalized community, including racial and ethnic minorities, women face higher rates of online harassment. Sometimes it could be from, women to women. It could be from, spouse. It could be from partners. It could be from, you know, organization. It could be from, workplace. A lot of, people, different kind of individuals from marginalized community, they face online harassment, and it needs to be addressed. We have to look out for ourselves. Sometimes when people post on social media, whether they are looking for validation or not, if you don't have any, anything good to comment, I think it's better to just, walk away from, whatever, and because it's a free space. Whatever, whoever is posting, they have the freedom to post whatever they want to post. And if you don't have anything to say, I think it's better to just walk away or look on another side. You don't necessarily have to post or comment on, on their post. And sometimes I tell people that, some delete is not delete. So you might want to also be very careful, when it comes to what you're posting online, when it comes to how you're posting, when it comes to, because you won't be able to go back to delete. Even if you delete, sometimes people post something online, they go back to delete it, but the people already saved it and they call it receipts. This is what is happening in this generation. Literacy skills is very important for marginalized community to navigate, online space and online safety. It's very important that people are educated, people have skills. It's very important that as many people that you have in your space, you might want to encourage them to, to go for training, to be involved in the community. If you live in a space where they have community centers, library, I think some of these resources, they have resources for you to access. You also need to ask questions when it comes to online safety. The alarming reality of online harassment: 1 in 5 million individuals experience online harassment. Marginalized community face disproportionate impact. Severe mental health consequences are often overlooked. When it comes to online harassment, we know that there are a lot of consequences. I don't want to go into details, but because of the mental health space, and I, have most people that are into psychotherapists, psychologists, and all. Sometimes online harassment can lead to, before I even say it leads to suicide, it can lead to depression. It leads to fear, panic, anxiety, different kind of things that, we sometimes overlook. We sometimes think is normal for you to just, put an emoji on somebody's post, that is very belittling, and I mentioned earlier, you don't have to put anything. You can just, whether you like what people are posting or you don't like it, you can, walk away. But if you think that you want to comment on post, critical, feedback, critical comment, not the comment that will belittle the person, not the comment that can, aggravate other comment and can cause online, wars. Some people, they derive joy in commenting, in putting up comments that can generate, fight and war. Sometimes they call it, what do they call it? They just feel happy. They just want to see how people react. Sometimes they tell you they're trying to experiment, they're trying to experiment what people are going to say, what they're going to comment, they're going to react, other people's perspective when it comes to things. Statistic: 1 in 5 individuals experience online harassment. 51% of Americans have been targeted for more severe forms of online abuse, such as physical threats, stalking, and sexual harassment. Who is most affected? racial and ethnic minority faces unique challenges. As people that live in marginalized community, the stakeholders, the people that are in policy making, it's very important that when it comes to online harassment, we want to holistically look into all, all areas. We can say because women, strong mothers are these that, maybe the emotionally they are dead, so they cannot really be affected. Sometimes we can also say because men are very strong when it comes to mental health, when it comes to, they don't really get involved too much when it comes to online harassment, when it comes to social media slurs. We want to be very careful that we don't just assume as stakeholders, as people that are, looking for safety when it comes to online harassment, when it comes to safety of our family, safety of our friends, safety of, children, safety of our workers. We want to look into, all these areas. People with special needs often experience increased harassment. Sometimes people tend to take people with special needs for granted. Very strong and advocate of, for people that have special needs, because we just assume that because maybe they're on a wheelchair, maybe they're autistic, maybe they have cerebral palsy, maybe they're not human being, or they're half human being. I've been able to work with a lot of people with special needs that are very smart when it comes to tech, when it comes to mathematics, when it comes to writing, when it comes to artwork, when it comes to painting, when it comes to organizing, when it comes to different kind of, areas that will be surprised that, they can actually excel. Also, there are some organization that are, doing a lot of things when it comes to inclusivity. So they're tending to hire more people with special need. They are beginning to look beyond, because due to advocacy, they're hiring them, they're employing them because they know what they bring to the table. So it's very important that we are careful as people that are in online space. We're very careful. We can't just assume that, because somebody is this, because somebody is different in the way they look, in the way they learn, in the way they grab, in the way they do stuff, that you assume that, you're the less human being. We've seen people with special needs that are models. We've seen people that are, that have got cerebral palsy, that are smart, that are doing well when it comes to, you know, IT, when it comes to tech, when it comes to different kind of things. We've seen a lot of good things about people with special needs, that we need to show empathy. We need to show compassion. We need to be kind. We need to show kindness to both, people with special needs, and both with normal people that are in online space. Statistics: women disproportionately targeted by online harassment, with 66% of LGBTQ individuals experience harassment. People with this, especially that are more likely with disability, especially that are more likely to be harassed than non-disabled people, with 45% experiencing any harassment and 31% experiencing severe harassment. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's very important that we show empathy, we show compassion, we show kindness when it comes to, the way we relate to people, the way we comment, some posts. We do have to comment on, every post. The devastating consequences. Online harassment can lead to anxiety and depression. Like I mentioned earlier, I've seen people that they've posted something, they've done, photo shoot for their birthdays, family photo shoots, weddings, events, that people have, been rude, put like comments that are very, degrading. And sometimes we don't know, we all know the power of words, it's the power of what we type. So also I tell people, what do you want to gain in, typing, in putting emojis that's going to make, the person that owns the profile, upset, or maybe their family, or maybe their friends, maybe their relatives, and they'll come for you, or, you get yourself into another trouble, or you cause, the social media war, or you just, what do you want to gain? So you want to be very careful as individual that you are not the reason why someone is depressed, why someone lives in fear, why some people are coming up with suicidal thoughts. Because the truth is that there have been a number of recorded suicide due to online harassment, due to, due to negligence, due to not showing enough empathy, due to not showing compassionate, due to thinking that, you have the right because is your profile, is your page, and you just want to do anything. You don't want to consider the policy, the things that are very important when it comes to, social media safety. Survivors may experience PTSD and trauma. Most cases, people that have been harassed, both online, both offline, I know we're talking about online harassment, they tend to live with traumatic experience. They tend to live with, trauma that I've been in space of some people that have been off social media for 2 years, for a year, for 3 years, for 5 years, just because not necessarily because, they don't want to be there, but because of, they've had bad experience, their family, their siblings, the colleagues at work, they've gone through, some kind of experience that is not, very nice. And at the end of the day, they decided that, what, social media is not for me. At the same time, you sometimes understand where they're coming from. But imagine if we have online space that is accommodating, that comes with empathy. People there, they show empathy. They are kind. They look away when people post stuff. They don't, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to, comment on every post you see. Imagine if we live in this kind of, online space. People are, because you are the reason why someone said, you know what, I don't want to come to, online. I don't want to post anything. If I post, these are the kind of slurs, language, these are the things that I get. A space that is supposed to be free for everyone globally. You are the reason that, some people they've decided that they don't want to, and sometimes these people, when you're outside with them and you're checking something, or maybe your IG, sometimes they want to see what is happening. You see that it's maybe because of trauma, it's because of fear, it's because of anxiety, it's because of PTSD. Maybe that's why, they just don't want to get themselves involved. Social isolation is a common outcome for victims. Some people don't want to have anything to do with anyone. Like, I know people, based on their experience or their family experience or people that are close to them, their experience, they've been traumatized, that they would rather isolate themselves, that you hardly, find them in social gathering. You hardly find them in, what they used to do, what they like to do earlier, what they like to do before. They decided that they don't want to continue to do this kind of thing because of the kind of fear, because of their experience, because some people online, offline, they've been mean to them. They've not considered, humanity. They've not been able to say, okay, let me do my part to be kind, to make this world a better place. The many forms of online harassment, we have hate speech, we have slurs create a toxic environment, like I mentioned earlier. Cyberbullying impacts individuals of all ages. When it comes to young adults, students, sometimes when they have issues in school, they tend to go online to settle it, to start, posting caricatures, pictures, emojis, pictures that are very, nasty, not nice about the friends. Sometimes some of them use other friends' devices. Sometimes some people come on, fake names and start, this cyberbullying thing. They do a lot of terrible things just to make sure that they the person they have issues with and all. Doxing poses serious safety risk to victims. When it comes to doxing, we have financial doxing, we have professional ones, and we have personal one. In the personal one is an area where it's like identity theft. They stole your details, your house address, your home address, and someone else is probably using it. Your professional doxing is when someone else, or hackers have access to your office details, your career, your position in your working place and all that. The financial one is when people have access to your bank details and other things, that's supposed to be very private and very personal. Statistics: 27% of internet users have been called offensive names, and 22% have had someone try to purposely embarrass them. 8% have been physically threatened, 8% have been stalked, 7% have been harassed for a sustained period, and 6% have been sexually harassed. The psychological toll when it comes to online harassment is not, this topic is not something that we can just, it's very vast. Hyperarousal and hypervigilance are common reaction. Victim may engage in avoidance behaviors. People that have gone through, online harassment, that one way or the other they've been affected, they they have this kind of behavior that they don't want to be involved. Sometimes if it's among students in schools, you realize that a student that is very vocal, outgoing, social, might just decide they don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to be anybody's friends. Even at workplace, sometimes when you just realize that your colleague just decided to keep to themselves, they don't want to talk to anyone, they don't want to be involved, they don't want to do anything. It might be what they've experienced, or what their family friends, or what their children, or their parents or siblings have experienced. Sometimes people lose their self-esteem. Loss of self-esteem can result from harassment. People are not confident enough to do what they've been used to doing. Especially like I mentioned earlier, if someone is very vocal, someone like to hang out, to talk to friends, to take a walk, to be involved in the community, in the neighborhood. Online harassment can, really affect people and put them to that, very low space in life. And you don't want to be, that person. You don't want to be the reason why someone is in this kind of terrible state, where they have their low self-esteem, where they don't want to do what they love to do. Because at the end of the day, some people contemplate, or they're suicidal. When they go through majority of this psychological toll, people become suicidal. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the reason why some people just end it all because of, your comment, because of what you posted online, because of how you address a post, because one comment on a post can trigger a terrible thing that could affect people online, that could lead to anxiety, panic attack, PTSD, low self-esteem, avoidance behavior, different kind of things. So you want to be very careful what you put out there. Because of my time, I think I have why marginalized group struggles to seek help. Sometimes it's because they don't trust the institution. The trust in institution inhibits help seeking. Fear of retaliation deters victims from speaking out. When the other party is very powerful or they belongs to a very strong community, victims can run away from, speaking out. Cultural barriers can complicate access to support. I mentioned earlier that, marginalized community have little resources or access to support, to skills, to education, to technology, to devices, to things that could, help them get help when it comes to online safety. So you want to be that person that speak up for people. You want to be that person that is looking into what is happening when it comes to online safety, whether it's online, whether it's physical conferences, or whether it's online, global conference like the one we're on. It's the Shield Safety Online Safety Conference. You want to be on the lookout. You want to be someone that wants to learn. Especially in this age, we're talking about AI, we're talking about different kind of things. You don't want to be left. I know that it's not everyone that is, interested in learning all these things because of the craziness that comes with, AI, with technology, with too much information. But you might want to learn the basics as parents. You might want to learn, the codes. You might want to learn how to do one or two things. So you have a little bit of access to what is happening online. So you have access to some things that maybe your children post online. You never know. You might be, your children might be, part of what is happening. Our family might be part of what is happening when it comes to online safety, when it comes to the fact that people are being harassed online, people are being marginalized. You never know that who are the people that are part of it. So if you are knowledgeable, if you put yourself in the room, if you make sure that you're visible, one thing I want to say is people that live in marginalized community, marginalized group should try as much as possible to show up. When it comes to, sometimes you get notes from schools, your principal, they tell you there's something, they're talking about anti-racism, they're talking about online harassment, they're talking about online safety. You might want to be in that room. You might want to go for that meeting. Those are the meetings that you want to go for. So you get yourself involved. So you can also like train or teach other people, or you can give them information. You can get access to resources, get access to help. It's very important that, we get ourselves involved in some of these things just to understand what is happening when it comes to online, online harassment, when it comes to how to navigate it, when it comes to the impact, when it comes to safety. Among adults who report fair or poor mental health, white adults 50% are more likely to say they received mental health services in the past 3 years, compared with Black 39% and Hispanic adults 36%. Also because of, culture, background, beliefs. But this is the time for you to unlearn some of the things, the rigidity when it comes to mental health. This is the time to unlearn those things. The one that you have learned, unlearn it, relearn. We should keep learning when it comes to mental health, when it comes to this topic that we're talking about. Breaking the silence and promoting digital inclusion. Education campaigns can raise awareness. When we, in your space, as a mother, as a father, as a colleague, as a sister, when you connect with, communities, with platforms that are doing or talking about online safety, that is a kind of awareness. When you involve in policy reforms are necessary for long-term change. When you involve yourself with, policy making, when you get yourself out, you can be the person that sees the gap in some of these things happening online, offline, and you can be the solution to it. Because we need to put ourselves in more rooms that are talking about safety when it comes to online, when it comes to offline. We need to put ourselves, positioning is very important. We're positioning ourselves to have access to resources, to have access to all the things that we think they're very important for us to be able to navigate online safety for our children, our family, people in our network. Are we positioning ourselves, putting ourselves out there, talking to the stakeholders, getting involved in your community, talking to people, your neighbors, going to the library, community center, getting involved, talking to youth, talking to them, allowing them to speak their experience when it comes to online harassment, what they're going through. Are you talking to your children, their experience when it comes to online? Do you even know how many social media platforms that your children are on? I know a lot of things that they've said about Snapchat. They've said about, Instagram. A lot of things that we don't even know when it comes to, safety, when it comes to harassment, when it comes to, I saw a news when it comes to, I think, human trafficking in the States, and the business of over $100 billion, dollars. People are making money, and you'll be shocked that the people, the children, the family that are involved, they don't even need to kidnap them. Some people live with their family, but because these people have, maybe videos, maybe pictures, maybe cameras, they tell them, if you talk, if you speak out, I'm going to show this to the whole world. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We need to get ourselves more involved when it comes to online safety, when it comes to, positioning ourselves. We need to speak to our children. We need to make sure that our children are not the reason why other children don't want to go to school, why other children don't want to go out, why other children are being isolating themselves because our children are bullied online, even offline, the way they treat, their friends. They don't show empathy. They're not compassionate. They're not kind. So as individuals, as stakeholders, as caregivers, as parents, as facilitators, as head of organizations, as CEOs, we might want to look inward. How am I speaking to how am I behaving at home? Am I showing good example? Am I conscious? Am I living intentional? Because everyone around us, they're working. Call to action before I round up. I know my time is up. We have to join the movement to combat online harassment, support organizations working for digital inclusion like SHIELD. What they're doing is awesome, it's fantastic. I hope we know that if there's any time to collaborate, this is the time to collaborate. I say it every time. Collaboration is the new currency. Collaboration is the new. We need to start supporting ourselves, people in mental health, psychotherapists, doctors, nurses, individuals, families, churches, mosques. Every organization needs to get on board to make sure that we have online safety that the world, the globe deserve. Speak up and amplify for marginalized voices. If you think that, after I don't belong to that ethnic group, it's none of my business, I have nothing to do. You need to speak up. You need to speak up. The world is changing. It's global. It's being diverse. You need to speak up. If the person you're not speaking up for today might be your family helper tomorrow. You never know. So I'm just going to stop sharing this is the end of my, presentation today. I hope. Thank you all for joining. I know some people still at work in this part of the world. Angela, thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to be part of this. Excited for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. And what a passionate, wonderful way to close day one. And with the sentence, collaboration is the new currency. Thank you very much. It was an honor to have you here, and looking forward to all of us together making that happen. So thank you for the wonderful close to day one, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone.